Welcome back. It has been a great spring break, but I'm glad that we're back together in class. These Zoom links are going to change because they change every 2 weeks or so. So we'll get those changed and then we'll be ready to rock and roll. But if you're watching this, that means you chose the pre-recorded version anyways. That's fine. To help us remember what we were studying before the long break, we're going to go over how the periodic table was formed. Remember, we learned before break all about matter and atoms and the different part of atoms, which we said are subatomic particles, our big science word, protons, neutrons, and electrons. We also learned a little bit about elements and the periodic table. We're going to spend this week, the first part, studying the periodic table. And the end part, we're going to talk about physical and chemical properties of the elements on the periodic table. So it'll be quite fun. This is again our last unit before the end of the year. We've almost made it. You guys are fantastic. You're doing great. Today we're going to be discovering though how the periodic table came about, because believe it or not, we didn't always have the periodic table. Scientists came together and created it. There is one guy who was credited for the most part with being the quote discoverer or the creator of the periodic table. His name is Mendeleev. We're going to learn about him today. So this is your introduction to what you do. It's not a lecture today. It's more of you're going to watch a crash course video and answer some questions. You're going to make a copy of this. It is in your notebook if you printed off your notebook, but you still need to make a copy because this is where the video is. This is Dmitry Mendeleev. As I said, he is credited with the creation of the periodic table. You're going to watch this crash course to help you answer the questions right here. So you're going to watch, it's 11 minutes, you'll watch the crash course, answer the questions. For this, we're going to list some important facts. I want 1 or 2 for each of the groups. You don't have to put them all. And then the next part of what we're doing today, we're going to identify the following parts of the reactions. So on these slides, you're going to help me by making a legend. So I want you to tell me what are the reactants of this chemical equation, what are the products, and again, remind me what the arrow means. So we'll do this one together, and then you've got 4, 5, 1, 2, 5 other ones to do by yourself. So if I was going to do this one, remember we said that the reactants are anything on the left side of the arrow. So the first thing you want to do is find the arrow. And by the way, you've got the molecular structure right here of the molecule, but below it you've got what the actual elements are. So we see here that we have 2 oxygen molecules, or O2 molecules. So the O stands for oxygen. The subscript 2 tells us how many oxygen are there in the molecule, and this coefficient is what it's called. 2 means that we have 2 of those types of molecules. We're going to be learning about this another day as well, but I wanted to introduce it to you today. We'll go more in depth into that. So we've got CH4 here. The C stands for carbon, which is this charcoal gray molecule right here, and then the H stands for hydrogen, and there are 4 of them. Our subscript tells us 1, 2, 3, and 4. We don't have a coefficient out here, so it's understood that we only have 1 of those molecules, and you can see that right here. So you've got 1, this is called methane, though I wouldn't expect you to know that. We have 1 methane molecule plus 2 oxygen molecules, O, 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 O. And our arrow, which remember that arrow means yield or to create. So for this one, you're going to write yield or to create, both of those words. Create. Carbon dioxide is what this molecule is right here, CO2. 1 molecule of carbon, 2 atoms of oxygen bonded together to form 1 molecule of carbon dioxide. Remember, you can tell that because there's no coefficient right here, it's blank, so that we have 0. And then yields 2 H2O molecules. That should ring a bell. This should look familiar. H2O is our molecular formula for water. We've already learned that. We know that H2O has 1 oxygen. You can see that right here, and 2 hydrogens, H2. This little 2 tells us that we have 2 hydrogens. See, 1, 2 on each of our molecules. And then remember that coefficient right here tells us that there are how many molecules of water formed? 2. If there was nothing there, we'd only have 1 molecule formed, but we have a 2. If there was a 10 there, we would have 10 molecules of H2O. If there was 100 there, we'd have 100 molecules of H2O, but we only have 2. So let's go back to the task at hand now that we understand what's going on with this picture right here. Tell me what the reactants are. Remember, reactants are on the left side of the arrow. So our reactants are CH4 and 2H2O. So you would write CH4 and 2 O2s. Remember, our arrow means to yield or create. So that would answer this question right here. And our products are on the right side of the arrow. We have carbon dioxide, CO2, plus 2H2O. Now again, I don't expect you to know you should know what water is because we've studied that. And you should be able to tell me that this is oxygen, but I don't, and maybe carbon dioxide, but you probably don't know methane. So you don't need those words. All you would need to type is CH4, and you would make that 4 little, and 2O2, you would make that 2 little. And then for this side, we would do CO2, and you would make that 2 little, and 2H2O. With this 2 being little, we let our subscripts by highlighting what we want to be little. We go to Format, Text, Subscript. And then we would do that here. Format, Text, Subscript. Format, Text, Subscript. And Format, Text, Subscript. So you need those subscripts there because you're going to learn as we get to the end of this unit that they are very, very important. And then remember, our arrow means to yield or create. You need both of those. Very good. So then you're going to continue on with the rest of this. Just like we did right here, you're going to continue on. Some of them, like this one, has the actual big words. You could put either or, so you could put CO2 or carbon dioxide. Some of them don't have them at all. You don't need to Google what these are if you don't know. Ooh, that one looks to be repeated. I guess you can do that one again. That's the one we did together. So you'll have the answers for that already. Another one, another one, another one, and another one. Okay, good luck, guys. If you have any questions, as always, email me. That's your assignment today. So video questions and doing your chemical equations. Have a great day, guys.